Hey guys, good afternoon. I wanted to say something really quickly. I heard a pastor say something this morning. I shared it. I loved it. He said, this is not about politics. This is about spiritual. Everything is spiritual. Nothing is about politics. When you look at the Bible, he talks about kings. They did not have a word president. Kings were the presidents. Those were the leaders. And God had his hand on those that he chose and those that he didn't. The enemy was influencing them. And so what happens is people think because it's politics that they have a right to stay out of it, but they don't understand the ignorance of that. There is no such thing as separation of church and state. That is not in the Bible. It is not in the Constitution. They have taken that and they have stuck their head in the sand and said, I don't have a dog in this fight. But the problem is the fight has come to your front door. They have said that boys and girls are the same thing. They have said that men can get pregnant. They are lawless. They are doing all kinds of things that are against God. They have open borders. Nothing in the Bible had an open border. Heaven don't even have an open border. But yet they think that's okay because the people that have an agenda, those that are sent from hell, are telling them that this is fine. Those people have an agenda. They have been sent by the devil. All kinds of wicked laws are passed through legislation, but they do not know this because all they are thinking about is going to church and doing church as usual. 2 hours every Sunday, then they go home and they put God in a box and they forget about him. God is supposed to permeate every area of your life, Monday through Sunday. He's not supposed to go in a box. So the ignorance has happened, and now we have over half of the Christians sitting everything out because they don't think they have anything to say, or they have come up with this term to bind everyone that is actually active in the fight that God has raised up. God rose me up for this. He rose me up for this time. That's why I wake up with fire in my belly for the situation, because I was raised for this time. Think about Noah. He woke up every day with fire to gather wood to build an ark, and it had never rained. It's because God placed that in him. If you have a fire for this, it is because God put it inside of you. And so what has happened is they have gotten comfortable with this because they have gotten lazy, and they don't understand that all the legislation that happens comes through politics. But there is no politics. It's all spiritual. Make no mistake about it. The enemy is using politics. That's why Muslims are running for office and getting in and passing wicked laws and stealing from us legally. The enemy is a legalist, and he will always use laws to steal and to legislate sin. That's what he's doing. But we have set it out for so long because we have been cowards, and we have not had the money, or we have not had the voice, and we have not had the backbone, and we've not had the backing. But now we have a president that is righteous and that was put in place for such a time as this to help free the captives. The Iranian people freed after 47 years of bondage by the 47th president. You don't tell me that God does not care about numbers, because the Bible has a whole book called Numbers. And so basically what has happened is he was raised to free the oppressed. The devil is not freeing the oppressed. The people are so ignorant that they are not looking at fruit. They cannot look at the fruit of this tree because their democratic gods and the media have told them that the tree is evil. That is common sense, that it is not. A wicked man would not do what he is doing at all. But they will not look at their chocolate savior and see him as wicked, even though everything he did was completely against God and wicked. It is because they have had too much of the social gospel. They have not authentically encountered Jesus, and all they know is playing church for 2 hours on Sunday. They are powerless and wholly ineffective, and this is why the enemy can come into their house and knock everything down, and they can't do a single thing but get on their face and bow. I will not be one of them. When God chooses a man, the world hates him. When the world chooses a man, God hates him. God chose David, and the world chose Saul. God told the children of Israel, you don't need a king because I'm your king. They said no, and they chose Saul because he was tall and he was handsome and he had swag. But God saw his heart, and it was black and wicked, and he did not like it. But he gave the people their will. That was his permissive will. That was not God choosing Saul. That was the people. The people chose Saul, and God said, all right, fine, cool, you can have him, and I'm going to tell you what he's going to do. And all through there, it talked about what Saul would do, and Saul did every bit of it. And then God came along and said, okay, I'm going to help him out. And then he chose David. But David was hated by his own family. When the prophet got there, he said, bring me your sons. His father and his brothers didn't even think enough of him to go out to the field and bring him in. David was out there feeding the sheep, tending to the sheep, and they were in there being chosen. But because their heart was not right before God, he did not choose them. But see, God chose David, and God chose David so he can be a blessing to the people that were crying out. But they didn't call that nationalism. But they have given you a term, and they're saying it's Christian nationalism, and that is a lie. That is something to stifle you from the pits of hell. There is no such thing. There is no such thing as politics. Everything we're seeing is spiritual. Every single thing. Just because the terms were not in the Bible, it does not mean it's not so on today. On today. So David had a whole city called the City of David, and they were making songs with this man's name in it. They were singing to David, but they were worshiping God because their lives were better. But anytime we say anything kind about Trump, here comes the people saying that we are worshiping Trump, but they still have pictures of Barack Obama hanging in their house. Wicked dogs. Don't you allow this mess. We have to be bold and courageous, and we have to speak up. We got to cry loud and spare not, because this world is perishing. These people are ignorant and out of their mind. They are comparing Trump to Judas. Looking at the fruit of Judas, they are comparing Trump to that, even though Barack Obama's fruit matches Judas a whole lot closer, but they will not do that. A tree is known by his fruit. A bad tree cannot produce good fruit, and a good tree cannot produce bad fruit. This is a spiritual law. So you have to ignore them. We have to continue on track because this thing is happening. We cannot let this window of time pass us by. We are in the final dispensation. Y'all don't understand what's happening. We are entering the wealth transfer, and then it's going to be a final harvest of souls. We are there. We are there. Why do you think all of us that are called and that are authentic and that have sight see what's happening? Even those that are not Christian, that have some form of sight, see what's going on. You have to see it. Pray for the president. Pray for the country. Pray for those that are being used. Pray for those that the enemy has blinded their eyes and have made them come against the president of the U.S. You have a bunch of talking heads that have been paid. They have been paid. Anyone that had millions of followers were contacted, and they were paid to come against Israel, to side with the regime. They were paid. I know that hurts your feelings. I know they have told you to think a certain way. You have to not be brainwashed. You have to understand these paid talking heads are paid to make you think a certain way. They don't understand when God raises a leader, it is to affect and to change the entire world, not just us four and no more. In order for the U.S. to live in peace, the world has to have peace. Those people have to be able to go home and build in their own nation. Every nation must be a nation under God, and those places were under Muslim rule. God is handling it all right now, and we are in for a bumpy ride. This next year is going to be a little bit of the same, but the last 2 years are going to be those of peace. I'm telling you right now, you have to get into this. You have to lean in. You have to seek God, because the stuff that's happening, we are seeing some great deception and manipulation coming through the media outlets. The people that are celebrating are those that see and that understand what God is doing. Those that are not celebrating are those that have an agenda. The Democratic Party has an agenda, and that agenda simply consists of hate Trump. Anything that he does, it's because they are headed by the devil. See, you have to understand it. You got to see it. I don't care if you think I'm being harsh. I will not roll anything in sugar so that it's more palatable. You can choke on it. I'm telling you the truth. The people that have the money are the people that are controlling the media, and they should not have the money. It is stolen from those of us that should be heirs of salvation. We should have that money so that we can put out the kingdom agenda, because that is first, and the kingdom of God rules and reigns over everything. And so the media has told them to mourn the fact that people are out of bondage after 47 years. That should be common sense, but it's not, because they are wicked. They are wicked to the core. So keep the president in prayer. Let's all just be in prayer. I may get on later on so that we can get in some prayer about this, but y'all enjoy your day.